3 versus 5 scenario, no ultimates in hand. Holy shit, they did it. I didn't think they were going to do it. Amplify actually did it.
Sombra is one of the least picked DPS heroes in Overwatch, but an underdog team called Amplify just pulled off the impossible, qualifying for OWCS by almost one-tricking her. So why would they rely on Sombra over the standard meta Genji Sojourn picks? In this nail-biting $5,000 match decider against Supernova, stick around as I break down the key moments, how she became their trump card, and how you can use this stuff in your own games. I guarantee that, by the end, your Overwatch IQ will skyrocket. Starting off, because of the Sojourn and Juno bans, both backlines are playing the default Lucio Kiriko. Supernova are running a slight variation on the default Hazard comp, with Pharah and Tracer being the DPS lineup. However, Amplify are running Mauga Sombra Reaper. The main goal of the Sombra Mauga is to disable the enemy Hazard from 2 different angles. The hack lets the Mauga break through Hazard's block, and it also allows the Mauga to stomp forward, forcing Hazard to retreat. Phone actually disables the Hazard a lot during this first round, mainly because Hazard's sustain and escape tools are directly linked to his cooldowns, which obviously get disabled by hack. Now would also be a good time to mention that another advantage of Mauga Sombra is that the ultimates are way stronger than those from Hazard Genji. Both these reasons kinda explain why Astro swaps off Hazard to go Queen. Queen doesn't care much about hack because she can stand her ground way more than Hazard can. She actually has passive sustain and a much smaller hitbox. Not to mention, Rampage is a way more consistent ultimate compared to Spike's, even against the Lucio Kiriko. So how does Phone adapt their playstyle when Astro switches to Queen? Well, they do what I call the controlling flanks playstyle. They stop looking for hacks on the enemy tank for the reasons I just gave, and instead focuses on controlling the flanks that the enemy Lucio and Genji take. Once the Genji and Lucio are distracted by the points, Phone perfectly times their attack on the enemy Lucio when Crazy Cat drops the Kitsune. Unsurprisingly, the Lucio dies with very little effort. But why is Phone only doing this playstyle now, and not earlier? Well, if Astro was playing Hazard instead, he'd be abusing the mobility that Hazard has. If Phone does the same play, there's a higher chance that they get one-shots by the leap/combo. Timing and distraction are also essential for this playstyle to work out. Whenever Phone starts hacking the Genji isn't looking at Phone. They do this yet again here, where Gap on the Mauga starts burning the Genji, and Phone starts hacking the millisecond after the Genji starts burning. But it's not just Genji that's important to control, just DPS heroes in general. Tracer can be a tricky one, but if you're already in Invis, you can easily get the jump on her. Phone does exactly that here, virusing and catching out Ryan, which forces his recall. However, when Phone matches the Tracer in this instance, they're not an Invis, so Phone just decides to head out. As a result, the Pharah isn't just being controlled by Phone, but ends up dying to them too. The Lucio tries to mark Phone, but not only does Phone escape scot-free, they double back to get a second kill on the Lucio. Now, for the especially attentive, I haven't mentioned the Lucio Kiri backline yet. This is where we get into the cutting-edge macro that no other creator is talking about. Firstly, you need to understand the basics of Lucio Kiri. Credit to Capitology for bringing this to light. Usually, the Lucio will try to set a TP for the Kiriko during the mid-fights. They can do this by wall riding to a safe angle or to high ground.
If my Kiri wants to move up with us, this is the TP spot that I need. Maybe this is a TP spot that I need, right? And as Lucio, I need to be setting one of these up.
So where does Sombra come into this? Well, if the Lucio wall rides to a certain angle, then the Kiriko TPs to him, the Kiriko will likely be low HP, probably without Suzu, and definitely without TP. If only there was a hero who could see low HP enemies through walls and has the mobility to chase said hero. You can see where this is going. In this tense last fight on Lijiang, Grapes, the enemy Lucio, wall rides to coast to set up a good TP for Renko. Then, when Renko needs to escape, he does. But because Phone knows that they can catch Renko, they sit back, wait for the Kiriko to TP, then catch that crucial kill in the mid-fights. Do note that they most likely planned this with Blade to force TP in the first place. Now, think about how smart this actually is. Most Sombra players would have just set up behind the Kiriko because that's what you're supposed to do, right? But then Renko would just TP to his Lucio, and congrats. You've just lost point control and wasted Blade for no reason. But this isn't the only example, and you don't need Blade to do this. In this example, because of the Malga ban, Amplify are forced to play hazards, but clearly, this isn't an issue for Amplify. Because of how close Renko is playing, Gap finds a good engagement onto him, forcing Renko to TP away. But guess who's right there to follow up? And that's a pretty good name for this playstyle too, the follow-up playstyle. Okay, so editing Kajor coming in here, I just noticed too that Phone hacked both health packs in both instances. You can see Phone hack the health pack on Lijiang as well as the health pack on Suravasa, ensuring that Renko doesn't get his HP back in the mid-fights. Renko even stares at the mini at one point, which I think is just really funny.
I'm not laughing, bro. Never laugh at that, bro. Real shit, bro. I'm not laughing, bro. I'm not laughing, bro. I'm being serious right now. No, bro, I'm being serious. I'm being serious right now, bro. Some real stuff, bro.
Dead.
But what are other situations when it's appropriate to go on the backline? Well, to put it simply, when you've got Cage or EMP. Both these ultimates disable escape cooldowns, making it very easy to actually hard commit on the Kiriko. You can see a textbook example here, where Gap lands a good Cage, and Phone is right behind to follow up on the Kiriko. The fight straight after is again a hard dive on the enemy Kiriko, just with EMP this time. It is a bit risky because if Phone doesn't hit the virus, Renko doesn't die, but hopefully you can see the point being made here. If the backline are also extremely squishy, like Lucio, Juno, Widow, you'll see Phone pressure the backline constantly. Funnily enough, Supernova shot themselves in the foot by banning Kiriko. They had to run either a brawlier Brig Juno, which isn't great on Ivana due to the long sightlines, or a much squishier Lucio Juno backline. Now, here's where we really get to the climax. What do you do a Sombra into Queen Brig Ana? You can't really do that disable frontline playstyle because of the Queen, or even dive their backline because of the Brig Ana, unless you've got EMP of course. So you do two things. Firstly, you control the Sojourn. If she gets aggressive, you can pressure the Sojourn from behind to stop her from getting a good rail. Phone does exactly that right here. Not diving anyone in particular, but making sure Supernova's backline are controlled and bunched up in one spot. Afterwards, Phone does that fifth and last playstyle of the video, soft pressuring. This is just farming the enemy backline, especially the Brig, to get EMP charge. You're not gonna land any kills most likely, but you can see in the ult charge numbers, Phone has the highest out of anyone on Amplify despite playing Sombra. However, we see the consequences of choosing the wrong playstyle in the next fights. Phone chooses to do that frontline playstyle onto the enemy Queen, but this means that Haven on the Sojourn is left entirely uncontested. As a result, Haven ends up hard carrying this fight, killing both the Brig and Sojourn. What Phone should have done instead is control the Sojourn and force Haven to power slide back. Phone can continue to soft pressure the enemy backline to get that EMP, or he can pressure out the Queen from behind if he sees a good reason to do so. Let's wrap this story up by taking a look at the last fights of Suravasa. Phone can't do that hard dive playstyle because EMP isn't online yet. They also can't do that controlling flanks playstyle because the Sojourn is down main. There is no flank to control if Ryan's not taking a flank in the first place. And because Crazy Cat has the Kitsune, Phone rightfully decides to do that disable frontline playstyle. This burns Astro to a crisp, eventually leading to his death and resulting in the first fight win. Now Phone's got EMP, so the choice here is pretty simple. Unfortunately, Astro scouts him, which forces Phone to leave. Now, because E1 beats, Phone probably feels like he's fine to just phone it in, terrible joke I know,
oh brother,
and decides to bomb it down main with his EMP. Sadly, they end up dying for it and not catching Renko. Despite this, Amplify end up clutching out the rest of the fights, with Winter zoning the point with his overclock. And just like that, Amplify get the biggest upset of the year, completely outsmarting Supernova.
Oh my god! This is fucking amazing! Oh my god, man! Oh my god!
And keep in mind, Supernova are the same team that had ex-Overwatch League player Renko, as well as getting top 4 in NA last year. Phone, if you're watching, hopefully I did your hero justice. I'll definitely be supporting Amplify in the regular season, despite me being EU. Hopefully I've also shown that Sombra is one of the most mentally intensive heroes in the game. It's no wonder that nobody plays her, because there's just simpler and easier options out there. But who knows, maybe this video will inspire you to pick her up in your own games. As always, if you enjoyed, be sure to let me know down below, and if you want to get my coaching, check the top link down below. Until next time.